you feel like this game, between the adversity but also the resilience, was just like a microcosm of this whole season? And did that, in a way, like, you're like, oh, we've been here before?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Steph said in the huddle. Like, we're built for this moment. When Kelsey went down, and then we're challenging the call on AB. We've been here before, so it's just so unlucky, so crazy that had to happen tonight.
What if the most important game of the season was decided before the first whistle ever blew? For the Indiana Fever, their Game 5 battle against the Las Vegas Aces felt less like a basketball game and more like a carefully orchestrated heist. Stars were targeted, injuries were ignored, and one of the most resilient playoff runs in recent memory was extinguished by a series of calls so outrageous they have to be seen to be believed. The final score says the Fever lost, but anyone who watched saw something else entirely, a robbery, and in the aftermath, it was Lexie Hull's quiet defiance that spoke the loudest, revealing a truth the league hoped everyone would just forget.
The ball goes up. Aaliyah Boston.
I don't think that's a foul.
To Indiana, and a late loose ball foul is called against.
Are you joking me?
This wasn't a one-night affair, it was a setup that had been building all series long. From the opening tip of Game 1, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. Every time the Fever started a run, a phantom foul on Aaliyah Boston would kill the momentum. Every time Kelsey Mitchell drove to the rim, she was met with a level of physical contact that went completely ignored. The rules seemed to apply to only one team. Defenders were allowed to drape themselves all over Indiana's players, but the slightest touch from a Fever jersey sent an Aces player to the free throw line. It was a slow, methodical strangling of a team's will to compete, designed to make them feel powerless long before the deciding fifth game even started.
That shit was rigged. Like, the Indiana Fever fought so hard, but like, they literally had 8 injured players. They had 8 injured players, and Aaliyah Boston fouled out for phantom fouls. And they still got to overtime. Like, you can't deny that. Like, you can't, like, the Indiana, they did everything in their power to try to rig that game in regulation, and Indiana just didn't go away.
If you think that's just speculation, the numbers tell a story of their own, a story of blatant, undeniable bias. Across the series, the free throw disparity was alarming, but in Game 5, it became a full-blown scandal. The Aces lived at the charity stripe, shooting an incredible 31 free throws. The Fever, who were attacking the paint with just as much aggression, were only awarded 14. Abu Wilson alone shot more free throws than Indiana's entire team, making 10 trips to the stripe, while Boston managed only 2. This wasn't just about free points, it was about control. It allowed Vegas to stop the clock, kill Indiana's fast breaks, and force the Fever's best players to sit on the bench in foul trouble. The game wasn't being played, it was being manipulated.
Boston do this. Just back her way down. Typically, players do not go down when she makes that contact here. Gustafson goes, gets the foul call. The ball goes up. Aaliyah Boston.
I don't think that's a foul.
With the stage set, Game 5 felt like an ambush from the very beginning. The whistles against Indiana were quick, soft, and relentless. It was clear the objective was to neutralize Aaliyah Boston, the Fever's anchor in the middle. The atmosphere was charged with a sense that every foul call was pre-written against them. This wasn't just about X's and O's anymore. It was about dodging phantom whistles and trying to survive when every ounce of momentum kept getting funneled back to the Las Vegas Aces. They weren't just battling the Aces, they were battling a force that seemed determined to ensure a specific outcome. The trap was about to be sprung.
This is some bull crap. They're going to just shove Lexie Hull and then say that's a common foul. Like, this is not unnecessary force. Are you kidding me? If this how this game's going to go, like, I'm sick just watching Lexie Hull get beat up.
The systematic takedown of Aaliyah Boston began early, a clear strategy to get her off the floor. In the second half, she was hit with one of the softest moving screen calls you will ever see. Watching the replay, she barely grazed the defender, but the whistle blew as if the referee couldn't wait to slap her name with another foul. Minutes later, the theatrics began. Aces center Megan Gustafson took a dive that would have made LeBron James proud, flailing backward after minimal contact. And just as planned, the refs rewarded her performance with an offensive foul on Boston. Each whistle was a calculated strike designed to put her one step closer to the bench and leave the Fever without their leader.
3 things I didn't like. Look at that. Smacked her arm and her entire body. Honestly, could have been a flagrant foul. Dang. And then, why do they hit Howard in the face, but they don't review these and give him technicals like they do on the Fever? And then we all saw that one. They called that a basketball play. Bullcrap.
And then came the knockout blow, the single most controversial moment of the entire WNBA playoffs. With just 26 seconds left in a tied game, Boston battled for a crucial rebound with Jackie Young. The whistle blew, and in a moment of sheer disbelief, Boston was called for her 6th and final foul. She was out. The Fever challenged the call, desperate for someone to see what the entire world saw, that it was nothing more than 2 players fighting for position. But the decision felt predetermined. The call stood, Young sank the go-ahead free throws, and Indiana was forced to fight for its very life without its all-star center. It wasn't a referee's mistake, it was the final devastating move in a game that felt rigged from the start.
For fire. She's our battery. She's moving great, and she will drive us, and that's been true so far.
Thank you, Hal. Sims, pull-up jumper. She got it.
While Boston was being systematically removed from the game, her teammates were being physically assaulted with no protection. Kelsey Mitchell was battered on every single drive, absorbing so much punishment that her body finally gave out. She was carried off the court and later hospitalized with severe cramping, a direct result of the relentless, uncalled physicality she endured all night. Jewel Lloyd shoved Lexie Hull so hard that fans were screaming for a flagrant review. Nothing. Natasha Howard got raked across the eyes. Silence. It was open season on the Indiana Fever, and the referees simply put their whistles away, allowing the game to devolve into a street fight where only one side was allowed to throw punches.
Physicality to finish over smaller defenders.
Howard turns the corner, whips a pass. Hull gives it up. Sims connects on a 3. Odyssey Sims now with 12 points.
It forces you to ask the question, why? Why would the officiating be so one-sided in a game of this magnitude? The uncomfortable truth is that the WNBA, like any professional sports league, has its preferred narratives. The Las Vegas Aces are the league's powerhouse, the 2-time defending champions, a dynasty in the making filled with marketable stars. An Indiana Fever team, patched together with hardship contracts after a season of devastating injuries, simply wasn't the storyline the league wanted for its finals. The Fever were a threat to the established order, an underdog story that was becoming too powerful, and it felt like the whistles were a way to put them back in their place.
Can't hit the mid-range. Mitchell pursues the board. Another chance for Indiana. That's been a theme in the early going. Mitchell a 3 is good. More second chance point.
Right around the rim.
Mitchell an open look. She got it from 3. And it
Back in a zone, that twofold.
Mitchell cut it.
But in the face of this overwhelming injustice, something incredible happened. A warrior emerged from the chaos. Odyssey Sims, a player signed late in the season on a hardship contract who wasn't even supposed to be a major part of this team, put the Fever on her back. She played with a fury the officials couldn't contain, pouring in 27 points, dishing out 6 assists, and relentlessly attacking the rim. She absorbed contact that was never rewarded, finished through traffic, and refused to let her team die. When she hit a driving layup to tie the game in the final seconds of regulation, she sent a message to the league, the refs, and the world. You can try to break us, but you will not succeed.
15. Lob it in. Boston. So effective in game 4. Trying to work Wilson. On the follow, it's 3. Around and off. Howard trying to tip it. Able to scrape it away. Another extra possession for Indiana. Mitchell had space, didn't take. Ball.
That's why this game will be remembered not as a loss, but as the moment the Indiana Fever showed their true identity. They stared down a two-time champion, battled a hostile crowd, and fought against a referee crew that seemed determined to send them home, and they still forced overtime. This wasn't about a trophy anymore. It was about pride. It was about proving that their heart was bigger than any crooked call. They left that court with their heads held high, having earned a different kind of victory, one that revealed a spirit that can't be officiated out of existence. Their effort, their toughness, and their togetherness created a bigger story than the one written on the scoreboard.
Here's Sims. Weaving. Hull dishing. Boston lays it in.
The heroes of that night will be spoken about for years to come. Odyssey Sims became a legend, the forgotten player who carried a franchise in its darkest hour. Kelsey Mitchell gave everything she had, sacrificing her body for the team until it literally broke down after being pummeled all night with no whistles. And Aaliyah Boston, even while being hunted by the officials, showed the league that she is an unstoppable force who can dominate a game even with one hand tied behind her back. She was not defeated, she was removed. Her presence was felt in both paint scoring and anchoring the defense, until referees ripped that chance away.
Defense! Lob it in, Howard. Out to Hull. 6 to shoot. Hull banks it in.
And then there were the unsung warriors who embodied the team's soul. Lexie Hull, playing through a significant back injury that would have sidelined most players, threw her body all over the floor for 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Her defense was everywhere, but it wasn't just the stat line, it was the grit. And Shea Petty stepped up in the biggest moments, hitting 3 clutch shots from deep right when the Fever desperately needed someone to answer after Mitchell left the game. Her confidence kept Indiana alive, forcing the Aces to defend honestly and giving Sims the space she needed to shine.
I mean, I think that's something we can take away from this season. Obviously, ending on the loss is hard and not what you want, but I do think that we can be proud of the effort we put out there, especially in the fourth quarter, you know, losing Aaliyah, losing Kelsey. I don't even know if that was the third or fourth quarter. But 2 of our biggest stars go down and we continue to fight and send it to overtime. So I think that's, you know, we're proud of ourselves. We're proud of that fight. And it's just sad to see this group.
In the aftermath, as the sting of the loss settled in, Lexie Hull became the voice of the team's unbreakable spirit. She didn't scream about corruption or blame the officials directly. Instead, she chose her words with precision, speaking about the team's fight, their heart, and their refusal to be defined by a single outcome. It was a masterclass in defiance. By focusing on her team's resilience, she was sending a coded message. We know what happened here. You know what happened here. And this will only make us stronger. Her actions on the court and her words after showed why Indiana fans are ready to rally behind her for years to come.
And 1 Las Vegas run. They have their largest lead of the quarter. Boston finds Turner. Turner didn't want to shoot it. Petty will, and knock it down. The stats have not been gaudy, but the decision-making has been excellent tonight from Greg.
Yes.
Petty, they need it. They've got it. Time.
The world was watching, and the reaction was instantaneous and furious. Social media exploded with fans, analysts, and even former players calling the game a sham. Hashtags demanding accountability for the referees trended for hours. Sports commentators who normally toe the company line were openly questioning the integrity of the officiating. The visual evidence was too damning to ignore. The clips of the soft fouls on Boston and the brutal uncalled hits on Mitchell went viral. The league wanted a clean narrative, but what it got was a firestorm of outrage from a fan base that refused to be gaslit into believing what they saw was fair.
Hey, you know what's sad? I think, especially when you push a game to overtime and you fight for so long, your expectations are to win, obviously, and so to lose is sad. But I think arm in arm, all of us together, we can look at each other and be proud of each other. So it's a moment of love for sure.
This is why the rest of the WNBA should be terrified. This loss wasn't an ending, it was an origin story. The league thought it was closing a chapter on a Cinderella run, but what it actually did was unleash a monster. A healthy Caitlin Clark is returning next season, and she's rejoining a team that is no longer a collection of young players. They are now battle-tested survivors, bonded by injustice and fueled by a burning desire for revenge. They learned how to fight a war without their best weapon. Now she's coming back, and they are ready to build a dynasty.
We can win. This is a 0-0 game, 5 minutes. We do those situations in practice. I mean, it took everyone. I mean, O had an incredible night tonight. People just stepped up. And I think, you know, when we were starting that overtime, we all five, everyone on the bench, playing or not, we believed we were going to win that game. So I think that just goes to show you that we believe in each other and in ourselves. And yeah, and I'm just so proud of this group.
The Indiana Fever were robbed of a trip to the finals, but they walked away with something far more valuable, an identity. They are gritty, they are relentless, and they are completely unafraid. That night in Las Vegas wasn't a defeat, it was the creation of a powerhouse forged in fire. What Fever fans saw wasn't just one playoff run stolen in the semifinals, it was the building blocks of a dynasty waiting to happen. That identity will be what fans rally around heading into the next season.
Continue to build that foundation for what the Fever can be next year, the year after, etc.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we have a lot of the same players back. You know, it's pro sports is another weird one where every season is different. Teams look different, but I think every new player we had this season came into the locker room and felt that connectedness and added to it. So we were really lucky that we had built such a great culture here, and that'll continue year after year.
This story isn't over. The 2024 season didn't end with a final score. It ended with a promise of unfinished business. The anger over what the league took away has already transformed into an unshakable belief in what this team is about to become. Now the fans have a job to do. Stay vocal. Don't let this questionable officiating fade into silence. The Fever's march into 2025 starts now, and the louder the fans are, the stronger this run becomes. They're coming back stronger, hungrier, and ready to take what is rightfully theirs.